Channel 3 Eyewitness News begins with breaking news.
Kara Sundlin here with some breaking news on the federal corruption trial for Kosta Diamantis. The verdict is in, and the jury has found him guilty on all 21 counts. Again, Kosta Diamantis found guilty on all counts. He was accused of steering contracts to certain school construction companies in exchange for bribes, kickbacks, even a job for his daughter. The owners of two companies actually testified that he was demanding cash payments from them, both at his home, in a Dunkin' Donuts, in Hartford, and other places. This was a 2.5-week trial, and for the defense, Kosta Diamantis tried to say that yes, he took some payments, but they were consulting fees. Clearly, the jury has decided that this was not the case and that this is corruption on every count. He has been found guilty. You're looking live at the United States courthouse, the federal courthouse right now in Bridgeport. These are federal charges, so Kosta Diamantis could be facing some serious time behind bars, up to 20 years. You saw him appearing each day. He often was smiling. He took the stand. He sometimes talked to reporters. Our own reporter, chief political reporter Susan Raff, is inside that courthouse right now as the verdict has been read, and she'll be joining you with much more on Eyewitness News coming up at noon at 4. But I can tell you, the Assistant U.S. Attorney David Novak told jurors that Diamantis was a very corrupt public official and that he got contractors to work almost entirely funded with taxpayer money, and that he used his position to strike fear. Many of them said they didn't want to give him money, but they knew that if they didn't, in the form of birthday cards or cash payments, that they would not be able to work on these school construction projects. Diamantis was actually an appointment under the Governor Malloy's administration. He was held over into Governor Lamont's administration for all of this testimony. Many folks saying that Governor Lamont had nothing to do with this, and that Diamantis was fired and lost his job when these allegations came to light. If you are just joining us for the breaking news right now, this federal corruption trial for Kosta Diamantis has now ended with guilty verdicts on all 21 of these counts of bribery, of taking money, of steering contracts. You can see that's Susan Raff running out of the courthouse right now. The reporters running to get to their positions. I'll just stand by for a moment from our team to see if we might be able to get Susan live. But letting you know right now that Diamantis, the man who was in charge of school construction in the state of Connecticut from 2015 to 2021, has now been found guilty on all 21 corruption counts in a federal courthouse. Now, it's worth explaining that when the federal government goes to trial, often they get a guilty conviction, about 99% of the time. They often don't take things to trial unless they feel they have a very solid case. In this case, we had testimony on the stand from folks saying that they were told they must pay Kosta Diamantis. Norm Pattis, the defense attorney, is speaking right now. Let's listen in.
So I'll save the rest for Mr. Diamantis and see you in court.
Diamantis said that he was hoping for a clean sweep the other way.
I wouldn't expect him to hope for anything else, would you?
What's your argument on appeal, Norm?
There are several. The court made a finding, for example, that it couldn't hold by preponderance of the evidence that there was a conspiracy as to Roy, but the jury could conclude beyond a reasonable doubt there was. That's an anomaly that an appellate court judge will have to head scratch about. I think the interstate commerce thing was a stretch for the government, and I think the courts have been somewhat reluctant to endorse a sweeping view of interstate commerce. You know, if you pass gas in New London, that doesn't mean there's going to be an air raid siren in New York, but that seems to be the government's theory. So there are issues of that sort, and, you know, obviously it's a topic for another day. Thank you very much.
Norm, what does it mean for the next trial?
Please.
Like, what you were arguing about the money?
Yeah.
You are watching the defense attorney in this corruption trial, Norm Pattis, speak live outside the courthouse. He's saying that he will absolutely appeal for his client on this unanimous guilty verdict, 21 charges, every single one of them found guilty. So Kosta Diamantis now facing extensive time in prison. We'll be looking at those sentencing guidelines, but we're talking about at least 20 years. And this is something that the government had argued that Diamantis told other subcontractors he had the power to hurt their business and that he misused his official position, breaking the law, steering payments to himself. During this trial, you heard that he also needed extra money for his daughter's college education. We will continue to follow this. As you saw, Susan Raff running outside right now. Our teams are gathering information on this verdict as the breaking news comes in that Kosta Diamantis now found guilty on all 21 federal corruption charges. I'm Kara Sundlin. We'll have the very latest coming up on Eyewitness News at noon. For now, we send you back to your regular programming.